at Lompoc Hospital. I currently work with patients for weight loss, heart disease, diabetes, gut health. I also do inpatient where we work with patients for tube feeding, IV nutrition, and education. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about healthy eating and what we want our plates to look like. So this is what they call the plate method or my plate, and this is a general idea of how we want our plate to look for 3 meals per day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner should kind of consist of this. A quarter of the plate is going to be protein, and then I'll go into detail about each one. Quarter is going to be protein. The second quarter of the plate is going to be carbohydrates, and half the plate should be non-starchy vegetables. We should be having fats at most, if not every meal. And we do want to be eating 3 meals a day if possible and snacking in between if we're still hungry. So I know carbs are kind of demonized, especially in diet culture, but I'm here to tell you carbs are good for us, so we need them in our diet. There's just 3 things we really want to think about when consuming carbs. So the first thing is choosing the right type of carbs. So we really want to focus on the fiber-rich carbs. The second rule is watching our portion size. So generally speaking, we want to aim for about a half a cup to a cup of carbs per meal. And the third rule is always combine your carb with a protein and or a healthy fat. So for rule number 1, choose the fiber-rich carbs. These 3 categories are considered the fiber-rich carbohydrates. So whole grains, things like brown rice, oatmeal, whole wheat breads and pastas, and quinoa. Our starchy vegetables, which is beans, corn, potatoes, lentils, and peas, and all fruits. So these, again, are the carbs that we want to be consuming with most, if not every meal. The carbs we want to limit is those fiber void carbs. So that's going to be like our sugar, cookies, cakes, juice, soda, things like that. And those, of course, are okay to have, but more in moderation, whereas these we want at most meals. So why is fiber so important? Well, number 1, it helps to minimize the spike in blood sugar and insulin. It also promotes gut health. It helps to lower cholesterol by actually binding cholesterol in the body and bringing it out. And it helps to achieve a healthy weight because it helps to keep you full for longer. Rule number 2 is watching the portion size. So this is a big thing with carbs. I think the reason why they are so demonized is because we just tend to have too much carbs at a meal. You know, a plate of pasta is pretty typical. In reality, we should really be having about a half a cup of pasta with a protein and a vegetable. Now, for things we can't really measure out, like bread or tortillas, that's about 2 slices of bread or 2 to 3 medium corn tortillas. Now, keep in mind this amount does vary based on gender, age, weight, and activity level. But generally speaking, about a half a cup to a cup per meal is appropriate. Rule number 3 is pair your carbs with a healthy protein or fat. So the reason behind this is because it actually slows down the digestion. It doesn't cause the blood sugar to spike as much. It also helps to keep you full for longer, and it limits the amount of carbohydrates that you actually consume. So these are some examples of what a combination of protein and carb look like. So if you have a fruit, maybe try to have some nuts or peanut butter with it. For rice, have some chicken with it. Crackers and cheese are another good combination. The second category of the My Plate is fats. So when it comes to fats, we want to be opting for the high quality fats. And that's going to be found mostly in these 3 categories. So that's going to be our polyunsaturated fats, which are found mostly in our nuts and seeds. Monounsaturated fats, which are found in olive oil, avocados, and some other nuts. And our omega-3 fats, which is found in salmon, chia seeds, walnuts, and flax seeds. Keep in mind, fats do have a high caloric value, so when we are having fats, only have a small amount per meal. The fats we want to have in moderation and limit or avoid are these ones. So in moderation means, of course, not in such large quantities and not as often. So that's going to be our saturated fats, which are butter, coconut oil, cream, bacon, sausage, and those super fatty cuts of meat. The fats we want to really try to limit or avoid are those seed oils and trans fats. So these are things like canola oil, palm oil, margarine, corn oil. And be aware of these because a lot of times they're marketed as healthy or heart healthy. But in reality, these oils are very pro-inflammatory and pretty detrimental to our health. So again, the other quarter of the plate, we want to be protein. It's very important to have protein at every meal and snack if possible. For protein, it helps, especially with weight loss. It helps to keep you full. It is the building block of hair, skin, nails, bone, tissue, and it helps in the production of enzymes and hormones. So again, getting it at every single meal and snack is essential. When it comes to protein, we want to focus on those higher quality cuts of meat. So things like fish, chicken, beef, turkey, beans and lentils are a great source, nuts, Greek yogurt, dairy, and protein powders. We want to eat less of those highly processed meats. So things like bologna, Spam, hot dogs, chorizo, and fried meats. Now we want to get half the plate non-starchy vegetables. So everybody knows we need to eat our vegetables, but what's the deal and why are they so healthy? So one, they're loaded with fiber, which is really important for gut health. They have minimal carbohydrates. They're packed with vitamins and minerals. They have been shown to decrease the risk of many diseases. They can increase your energy and, like I said before, improve gut health. And again, half the plate should be consisting of non-starchy vegetables. So all of these are great options: spinach, broccoli, onions, peppers, kale, cucumbers, all great sources. So overall, these are some of the best choices that we want in our diet. So our high quality proteins, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats. And in general, it really is all about whole foods and variety. So we want to try to limit those highly processed foods as much as possible. So I'm sure at some point in our lives, we've all tried some diet, an attempt to lose weight or whatever the case may be. So I just want to say diets do not work long term. Any extreme dieting can disrupt our metabolism, it can disrupt our hormone health, and actually interfere with our weight loss goals. These extreme diets are not sustainable, and they often lead to cycles of binging, increased stress, and feelings of guilt. So what we do want to do is focus on a healthy, balanced plate, eating consistently, and listening to your body. So, while diets may work short term, what ends up happening is we fall off the wagon, we eat how we normally would, and then gain all that weight back and then some more. So definitely trying to focus on a healthy, balanced plate and listening to your body is the best way to do it. These are some examples of the My Plate, or what our plate should look like. As you can see, it's not always chicken, rice, and broccoli. Eating healthy can taste good and be exciting. It doesn't always have to look like this either. So it doesn't have to be on a plate. It could be a smoothie. It could look like a protein smoothie with fruit as the carb, spinach as the vegetable, and protein powder, and maybe some peanut butter as the fat in there. Or it can look like a salad where it's all mixed in one. And that is all. Do you guys have any questions? Thank you. And then our next speaker is Haley.
All right, so my PowerPoint isn't as fancy as Cece's. That was pretty cool.
Is that Canva?
Yeah.
I gotta learn how to use it.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's much easier.
All right. So my name's Haley. I'm also a registered dietitian, and I also work at Lompoc Hospital. I do a lot of inpatient stuff, so also tube feeding, TPN. I work with bariatric patients at this point in time as well in the outpatient clinic, and I'm in the process of starting my own virtual consulting business. So that should be coming soon. So today we're going to be focusing on micronutrients and exercise performance. So Cece talked a lot about the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. So we're just getting a little smaller into the micronutrients. What? Okay. So just to review, micronutrients are vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals, and we get them mostly from the foods that we consume. And so they're involved in a tremendous amount of processes within our body, some of the most important being facilitating energy production and utilization, the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide through the blood, regulation of fluid balance, and protection against oxidative damage. So most often we hear people talking about macronutrients, especially in the diet and exercise world. People are always arguing about what type of diet is best, whether it be keto or paleo, high carb, low carb, or vegan. And quite honestly, there's research that supports every single one of these diets. And it truly doesn't matter. You can have a healthy keto diet, you can have an unhealthy keto, you can have a healthy vegan, an unhealthy vegan. Really what it all comes down to is, are you getting enough micronutrients through that diet? So as previously mentioned, micronutrients are required for virtually every process within the body. But today, since we're focusing on exercise performance, we're going to focus on a few of these. So metabolism of carbs into energy, red blood cell formation and transportation into cells, as well as the removal of carbon dioxide from working muscle. And so this is specific. I mean, there's so many other things, like Lindsay kind of said how sleep's so important. Micronutrients are involved in how well you sleep, as well as, having regular bowel movements. Like, that's important for your exercise performance ultimately, and you need micronutrients for that. So it's required for everything, but we're getting specific today. All right, so first we're going to talk about the metabolism of carbohydrates into energy. So this is a diagram of carbohydrate breakdown, specifically glucose, inside your cell to produce ATP, which is used as your cell's energy source. So this isn't like a biochemistry presentation, so I'm not going to explain this whole process, but you can kind of see in each stage micronutrients that are required for this process to take place. So specifically, B vitamins, so you have like your B vitamin B6, B1, B2, pantothenic acid, niacin. These are required. And then you have some minerals like copper, magnesium, iron, and then also vitamins and minerals that act as antioxidants that prevent free radical damage throughout your body. So when you have inadequate intake of these micronutrients, the whole process slows down, and it doesn't happen as abundantly, and so you have less energy to perform. So that's why you might feel sluggish. All right, so this diagram is showing the transport of oxygen into muscle tissue and into the cells. And so this entire process that I had just explained is dependent on oxygen. So in order to enter the Krebs cycle, it needs oxygen. And so for that to occur, you need adequate intake of folate, B12, B6, iron, and copper. If you're low in any of these, oxygen transport doesn't occur, whole Krebs cycle electron transport chain doesn't happen, and then you have low energy. Similar, we need to get carbon dioxide out of the cells. And carbon dioxide is produced as a byproduct of that whole energy production chain that I showed you. And in order for that to happen, to send carbon dioxide to your lungs for expulsion, it's highly dependent on zinc. Okay, so kind of to summarize, when you have poor dietary intake or you have increased losses of nutrients, it results in a reduced nutrition status. And this can lead to subclinical deficiencies. And so some of the most common subclinical deficiencies are riboflavin, iron, magnesium, zinc, sodium, and potassium. When you have these subclinical deficiencies, your endurance is decreased. It takes less time for you to get tired. You're breathing more heavily. Your heart rate is beating faster. Your work capacity goes down, and your strength decreases as well. So all of that negatively impacts your training, and it takes a longer time for you to recover. And that has a negative impact on your performance. And so this is important for everybody. So whether you're in the gym 3 times a week just to keep up with your fitness, to be healthy, or you're in the gym twice a day because you're prepping for like a bodybuilding show, or you're prepping for a marathon or whatever. This is important for every single person. So we want to know how to prevent subclinical deficiencies or reverse them, I guess. So as a dietitian, I'm always going to recommend a food-first approach. And so what that is you're getting your vitamins and your minerals from the foods that you're eating. And so my diet philosophy is that you should always be choosing the most nutrient-dense foods every time. So I've kind of drawn up a little example of how you can get some of these nutrients. I won't go through every single one, but like I mentioned, how B vitamins are crucial for energy production. You get B vitamins in abundance and also their most bioavailable form from things like salmon, liver, organ meats, eggs, beef, and then in lesser amounts from things like leafy greens. For iron, there's 2 types of iron. You have heme iron, highly bioavailable, found in animal products. So beef, again with the organ meats, chicken, seafood. And then you have non-heme iron, which is found in plant products like beans and spinach. It's less bioavailable. It can still do some benefit for you. Other things like potassium. Potassium's awesome for fluid balance. We need it. Also really helps with your blood pressure. So things like avocado, potato, coconut water, beans, tomatoes, bananas, all those good things. So I always promote animal product intake. So of course we have our vegans, but like I mentioned, animal products are really super nutrient dense and are extremely bioavailable, meaning our body absorbs them really well and utilizes the nutrients from them very well. So animal products, and then of course an abundance of fruits and vegetables as well. So of course, there are going to be circumstances where we're going to need to use supplements for extra support, right? So there are people that can't get all their nutrients from the foods that they're eating. So whether you're dieting, maybe you're trying to lose weight, so you're eating less food. Maybe you have dietary restrictions, like a lactose intolerance, or you're vegan. Chronic disease, specifically like inflammatory bowel disease, you don't absorb as many of the nutrients. Maybe you sweat a lot. When we sweat a lot, we're losing electrolytes, which are minerals that are important. Pregnant or breastfeeding, your baby's stealing all your nutrients, so you need to replace them for yourself. Or you've had bariatric surgery. So I work with them a lot, and they need extra nutrients because they don't absorb as much. So to summarize, macronutrients, yes, they're extremely important. They're macro, which is large. Very, very important, but we have to remember that we cannot utilize the macronutrients to their fullest potential without adequate intake of micronutrients. So they're small, but they're super important. That's it. Does anybody have any questions? I'll do my best to answer if you do, but if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, but I did want to say that I appreciate your slide where it showed the vitamins breaking down, because I always get told you need this vitamin, you need that vitamin.
Oh yeah,
But on a more scientific level, okay, it makes sense why I need the vitamin.
this one.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
even the next one over.
Hmm.
Yeah, that right there was really good.
Yeah, and it's so helpful. I think like education's important. Like we can tell people things all day long, but if they don't understand why,
Yeah, and I just learned about putting like hydrogen peroxide on my plants because they need oxygen to grow. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'm like a plant too. I need to grow.
Yeah.
Put oxygen in
Yeah.
me. Okay.
we need to nourish ourselves too.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that slide.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have one question.
Sure.
Are there certain foods that you really should avoid to keep a healthy gut health? Because you see all these things on the internet about, oh well, don't eat this food because that's contributing to, and they got like an hour-long video, just bullshitting their way through it.
Totally.
So,
yeah,
are there certain foods you really should avoid to keep a healthy gut, other than obviously eating healthy
I don't think avoid is the correct term.
or minimize?
Yeah, I think that you're gonna hear different people say different things all the time. For me, it's sugar, right? So our bad bacteria flourishes on excessive sugar intake. That's one thing. You're gonna hear different things from every single person. Gluten, raw vegetables people say are bad for your gut, but it's super individualized, so it's really hard to say. But I always say sugar, pure sugar. I don't CC if you wanted to chime in on
I
that
would
too.
say, like, generally speaking, probably there's highly processed sugars. So of course sugars in fruit, sugars, in a lot of things, but there's highly processed foods, the cookies, the cakes, those things, I would say limit as much as possible. Like she said, it is individualized. So if you have a gluten sensitivity, gluten is causing you an issue where for me it may not. So it's definitely very individualized.
I had a couple questions. One was, is there such thing as having too many micronutrients? Because now with supplementation, you can get them in flavored drinks, you can get them in gummies, you can get them in. And what's the number one most overused micronutrient that people overuse? I guess if that's such a thing.
So yeah, you can overdose on fat soluble vitamins because they're stored. So vitamin A, D, E, and K. So people really sometimes overdo it on vitamin D, but that's also individualized. Otherwise, you can, so like magnesium, for example, you can take too much magnesium, but you're gonna know because you're gonna have diarrhea. So there's nothing that comes to my mind that's you're gonna have serious side effects if you overdose, unless I've heard of the fat soluble vitamins. And then your second question, what is the most, sorry.
I guess if there's a way to overdose on micronutrients, the one micronutrient that's the easiest, I guess, to get that we might get a lot of easily.
From supplementation would be the only concern. So really the fat soluble ones that are going to cause more of an issue than just your body trying extremely hard to eliminate it through your stool or vomiting or peeing. Yeah, you can't really if you're doing a food first approach, you can't really overdose on anything. It's when the supplementation comes in.
Is there
I'm trying to think specifically, but
is there too much thing as too much vitamin C, or not really?
I mean, you pee it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body regulates. If you're taking absolutely insane doses, it might store some, but for the most part, we're peeing it all out. Turns your pee on. Anybody else? No?
So we're going to take a brief break. Thank you so much, Kate.
You're welcome.
So I'm gonna allow everyone to get up, stretch before we have our final speaker. We're gonna sample out some products. So this is a greens powder that has all of those micronutrients that we were talking about, as well as a digestive enzyme and a probiotic in it. So this is something that would be great to take daily. I'm trying to drink less coffee and eat more greens, and it's working for me. And then we also have a magnesium powder. So if you guys want to get up, stretch, we're going to go ahead and sample out some of those right now for you. You can pick one, pick both.
How did you
See
know
if you
my
like some flavor. Yeah, you need to stretch a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thank you.
I
All right. Is it morning or afternoon? It's still morning. Okay. Good morning. Thank you guys for coming, and I appreciate you guys. I do apologize. I came directly from hospital. It wasn't planned, but I just wanted, give you a little background who I am, and then talk to you guys about some really important health concern. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, you guys gain something out of this. To lead a healthier life. I've been practicing medicine, internal medicine, for the past 15 years, and I've been doing critical care, also hospital medicine, medicine. So I've been involved in medicine from A to Z of it. I've seen pretty much anything and everything possible in medicine. And also I'm involved in a couple nonprofit providing free healthcare system for people who have no insurance. There's one in San Luis Obispo, Solo North Foundation, and then the other one is Savvy Health in Lompoc. So anybody who has no insurance and nowhere to go, you go here, and it's free of charge. So keep that in mind. If you guys have friends and family, pretty much about 15% of population here don't have insurance. That doesn't include undocumented. Straightforward process. Nobody pays anything. There's not much as far as getting information what you need. You just say that I don't have insurance and you get seen. It's very comprehensive process. You get pretty much from the time you get evaluated, all the labs, medication, everything is free. It's run by a volunteer physician for the last about 10 years. So North has been open, Lompoc just opened. We did about $45 to $50 million worth of free care for people in this county. All right, so that's a little background. Yeah, thank you, much needed. So let's talk about I recently got involved in a product called Balance 7, obviously, because the founder of this was one of my patients. Actually, I was in ICU and he was really sick, and 89-year-old at that time. So he talked to me about a supplement he had or he was thinking about, and got involved and did research. Even as a physician, I learned so much about acid base and what it does in the body and why it's so important. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have heard about acid and base, right? Alkaline water, alkaline diet, acidic. I'm pretty sure you heard the term at least. So what does that mean? I mean, what is acid base? So everything in the body functions based on acid or base, or what's called a pH, power of hydrogen. It doesn't mean anything other than we took a measurement scale just so we could figure things out, right? How much you walk a mile, that's a measurement stick. Same thing with acid base in the body. We took a measurement from 0 to 14, 7 being neutral. Anything above 7, it's called alkaline. Anything below it is called acid or base. Acid. So everything in the world functions with this. There's nothing living that doesn't follow this simple rule. We are no different. So where our body function the best is where we're slightly on alkaline end. So if you could see some of the example of where things are in your body, and also food and drinks and beverages, etc., all falls into different categories. Just to give an example of within your body, the pH ranges from 1, which is so acidic, if you put your finger, it will melt, all the way down to alkalinity about 7.4, which is your blood. That's the higher it goes, and that's where your blood is ranged. So we measure everything in the blood, and we want you to be in that alkaline range, and I'll tell you why that has become so important. So in the past 10 years, about prior to that, nobody knew much about danger of acid and acidosis within the body. So we figure out after 100 years of medicine, we figure out how dangerous acid in the body, and why we should pay attention. Because every disease known to man, your diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, cancer, everything is the cause is acid. It's just called a low-grade metabolic acidosis, big fancy name, but all it means you have too much acid buildup within your body. Now, once let's say, for example, you drink a soda. Who likes soda? Pretty sure we all done it. Mm-hmm. So what does it do to your body? It's extremely acidic. So as soon as you ingest it, your body has to go to work in order to bring it back to normal pH. Otherwise, it's dangerous. So in order to do that, your body invests so much energy, including your lungs, your kidneys, your bone, everything participate in order to bring it back to that pH of 7.4, 7.35 to 4-ish. And why is it important? Because every cell functions at optimally a certain level of alkalinity, not acid, alkaline in the body. So when you change that, you change your entire system from genetically, from a cellular level, all the way down to organ damage, right? So throughout the time, we have seen tons of these examples of patients. Those are who are not healthy. I'm pretty sure everybody's healthy here. Everybody looks in shape. Got big guns, small guns, but they're all good. So I'm pretty sure you guys are watching. So is that means that you're healthy? If you're fit and you look skinny, is it that you're healthy internally? What do you guys think?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Absolutely right, because those two doesn't correlate, right? Everything that you eat, so even though and externally it's all about calories. Calories in, calorie out. I don't care if you eat M&M all day long, but if you're not eating a lot of it, you're not going to gain weight, right? Because your body has to expend X amount of energy in order to survive, right? Every organ works in one currency, and that's sugar. So everything gets converted to sugar. Whatever is extra gets saved and gets converted to fat, right? So let's see. Is it not working? Oh, sweet. Wait. There we go. So we know that a lot of diseases are related to that, as we talked about it, but we also talk about inflammation. Everybody's joints are hurting, right? Inflammatory process. You have issue with your gut, inflammatory process. You have heart disease with a stroke, inflammatory process is part of it. So everything goes back to inflammation, and that acidosis is a primary cause of that inflammation. So next time you're gonna have a bunch of sugars, just think about that, because it has a long-lasting damage. All right. So what we're talking about, I'm talking about Balance 7. So before I even start about Balance 7, which is a highly alkaline product, this pH of 11, this means 1,500 times stronger than the water that you guys drink, and about 500 times stronger than any product in the market. There's alkaline water that you guys drink, you see gallon of them everywhere. So that is the strongest product in the market, period. There's nothing even close to it in the world, literally. So, one of the so is that going to solve all your problem? Drink it and have fun, go drink, drink and eat and have your steak every day? No. This is just a component of a solution to your problems, right? Because we are living in a fast-paced world, we cannot have ideal diets. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. We want that to be the diet, our diet to be more fruits and vegetables toward alkaline diet, but that's not going to happen. So some of these supplements are there to help you to kind of move the needle a little bit so you could be a lot healthier, so your body performs better. So this is, you just take about 1 ounce of this 3 times a day. Nothing big. You're not going to drink a jug of this and it's going to make you better, right? So, as an athlete, just, those of you who are, trying to become an elite athlete, those are in process of, or those of you who just wants to become as healthy as possible, everybody goes through this process of, your number one important thing is health. And if you're an athlete who wants to be somewhere, you got to have an agent, you got to have your trainer, and you got to have your family, friends, support system. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. So what's missing here? The missing component here is your diet. It is so, how many of you guys have gone to nutritionists and gotten a consult? Okay, just 2 of you. And how many people? About 20, 25 people. So as you can see, not a lot of people, including myself, being guilty of not getting that knowledge that's much needed in order to be healthy to begin with, let alone when you're training. So during training, there's the micronutrient, the nutrient that becomes so important, and that's why the role of nutrition has become so important, so you could understand. Now you can go Google things. There's so much information. I mean, there's so much, even as a physician, I was looking to it today, when I read every day about it, I'm still confused, right? I went back 50, 60 years when all the ruling is started and to, this year. Things have changed over time so much, and there's so much information. It's just crazy. So really don't get by just Googling, because sometimes we don't have enough information, right? Not having enough information is dangerous. All right. So we talked about Balance 7. It's natural. There's nothing. There's no sugar. There's no additive. It's just pure. And the process is a patent process, and the reason why the pH is so high. You cannot get this. Just to give you an example, bleach is 12, pH of 12. So it's as strong as bleach, but it is safe to drink. So the process has been changed to bring it. Now there's a lot of waters in the outside, which is alkalinized water, as you guys know that. And these are the process of, they use an electric system where the water goes through the electricity, it gets break down to hydrogen and hydroxide, and the alkaline portion of it gets filtered, and voila, you drink that alkaline water. So you leave that water 2 minutes, and that becomes back to normal, because the hydrogen ion from the atmosphere will dilute it back to normal. And some of them has minerals to it, which is good. So there's a lot of data showing that alkaline water is better than regular water to an extent, because what it does is also decreases viscosity. Viscosity is how thick your blood is, as opposed to how thin. So the thinner the blood, the better flow, better oxygen delivery, the better oxygen delivery, the better function you have. So what is the limiting factor in all of athletes, right? When you work out, what limits you?
Fatigue.
Fatigue because of? Anybody?
Poor diet.
Well, I mean, you're fatigued because something goes on in your muscle, and that's a production of lactic acid, right? So that's limiting factor. Now, lactic acid is not all bad, because at the beginning, your body used that as a source of energy, right? It has tons of calorie in it for the muscles. But as it builds up, it causes cramping, it causes limitation, you cannot run, you can obviously become fatigued. So having a buffering system in your body, that buffering system allows your body to get rid of that excess acid a lot faster, so your body has the ability to recover faster. So you're not going to perform better when your body is in more alkaline state, but you also recover a lot faster. So the recovery time decreases, and also you have the opportunity to work a lot more. We have tons of experience, including Lindsay there, that has taken the product at the higher level, and you see the micro changes, the minimum changes. As a normal people, I mean, it takes me a little while to recognize the changes. For those elite athletes, they will feel it immediately, because their body, they're so in tune in their body, tiny little change, they can recognize that. So you take that after 7 days, after 3 to 5 days, you will slowly see the change. And then after 7 days, you definitely will see a change in the body overall. So what does it help with? We just talked about blood flow, bone health, digestion. Obviously acidity is involved with fogginess. Mental health is important. So if you're becoming more focused, you're not going to be tired during the day, you're not going to take your nap. And more importantly, for nowadays, immune booster. It really definitely boosts your immune system. Not this, your body boosts immune system, because now it's able to do so, because it's properly adjusted with its pH. So if somebody asks me, what is this Balance 7 does, I'll tell you nothing. It allows your own body to function the way it was supposed to do it. And so it's extremely important to understand that. And one of the other part of taking this 3 times a day, there's a reason for it, because it's a constant reminder for you to stay healthy, eat healthy. Like, I'm taking this for a reason, so I stay healthy. It's like taking high blood pressure medication, right? Why you take it? Because if you don't, your pressure goes through the roof, you're gonna have a heart attack and a stroke. So it's a constant reminder. I have to take it so I don't have a stroke. So this is similar in the sense of, hey, I need to be healthier. I gotta eat healthy. I have to exercise. I have to go to the gym, run, do exercise, and watch what we eat. Now, how many of you believe that regular exercise make you lose weight?
Hello?
1, 2. Okay, so obviously think about it. You're gonna work here, and Lindsay could correct me. If you work really hard for an hour, how many calories you gonna lose? 3 300 calories. A donut. Congratulations. You just lost a donut. There we go. So
One donut.
one donut, that is.
Dang it.
Not the whole box. But the point is that, getting to the gym, being healthy is about increasing your cardiovascular, increasing the blood flow, making your muscles stronger so the heart muscle could pump better, right? So it's a cardiovascular health is what exercise does. If you lift weight, obviously increases bone density for, especially as women. We don't focus on bone density. A lot of you guys have osteopenia, osteoporosis, that's common, but guess what? Men don't check their vitamin D and calcium level and bone density, and we are at higher risk than women for having that because we don't pay attention to it. Because every woman is on calcium and vitamin D supplement after a certain age, after menopause, etc. Every physician push. For man, there's nothing. So we got to pay attention to that. So exercise becomes so important, especially resistant training, right? Becomes so important. So don't, unless you're an elite athlete where you do 15, 20,000 calories, during your workout, then you're not. Everybody else loses very minimum amount, okay? So what else? Be aware of taste. I wanted to put that for you guys. It doesn't taste good. I'm gonna tell you that. Absolutely. And there's a reason why I didn't change the taste of it. Could I have some sugar? Sure, why not? I could make it really taste good. One of the reasons is it serves as a barometer of health. The worse it tastes, the worse you are in shape in the body. As time goes on, as your pH changes, that taste changes accordingly. After a few months, if you stay healthy and follow your diet and regimen, you will not feel the taste at all. So it's a barometer, and I guarantee you, if you take if you drink soda, take that and see how it tastes. A lot worse. So I left that taste there so it could present something, give you a gauge where your body stands constantly. And to guide you, continuously guiding you. Now, 3 times a day is hard for a lot of people. I'm guaranteeing, including myself. By the way, doctors are the worst patient on the planet. I'll never follow their own. But I'll take it at nighttime, in the morning, early morning by my bed. So I make sure I take it during lunch. So any question? Let me answer some question on acid base and how it affects your body. And then I'll talk a little bit about O4 product. Any questions?
How do we test where we're at?
So there's not really a good testing mechanism for it. If you go to the hospital, they draw your blood is never going to change unless you're super sick. That's when we see the effect of acidosis, your pH significantly drop. Now, a lot of people say you can pee in a cup and see, your test their pH. That's useless. It doesn't tell you anything. It changes so rapidly. But if you take that for a while, and then test that your urine will be an alkaline. So there's not actually a good way to test it. The best way is how you feel, right? You got to do that. So along with this, eating healthy, which is fruits and vegetables. I'm pretty sure you guys talked about what is a healthy diet. The higher the content of your vegetables and fruit, the healthier you are. There's hundreds of data around the world saying that if you follow these guidelines, you not only live longer. People who are doing exercise and healthy diet, fruits and vegetables, live 15 years longer than other people. Even if you follow one of the 5, which will be online recommendation, you live at least 3 to 4 years longer. So it impacts you in so many ways, eating healthy and exercising. Okay, what else?
Say you drink this 3 times a day, but you also drink 2 energy drinks a day. Does it negate the effect of your balance then?
So one of the things is we're going to diverge to the diet, the specific diet, sugar. Anything that has sugar, it's bad. It's the worst thing can happen to you. Sugar is a million times worse than fat. A million times by far, because the way it's processed, especially if it has fructose. Your body, so we see a lot of patients now in the hospital with fatty liver. They're healthy people, they're not alcoholic, they don't do anything, they're very healthy. They have fatty liver at a very young age. And the reason is fructose. Fructose is the only thing that doesn't get processed throughout the body. It's only processed in liver and it stays there. So glucose, on the other hand, gets processed throughout, gets absorbed everywhere. Fructose doesn't. So a lot of these refined diet contains that. So what I normally tell, okay, You can't. I hate all the like a specific diet type. You cannot follow it. No way, no how, because it's not realistic. So to me, is what is you got to be moderation, right? You want to eat your meat, sure, but not eat it every day. One of the things that I would definitely say avoid it if you can is processed food. It doesn't matter what it is. It is processed. That means they have two things in there: sugars and sugars and sugar. For three reasons. Preservation, because it lasts longer on the shelf. It creates taste. So just for those factors, they added in tomato juice. Can you believe it? It has all the tomato can and has sugar. So it doesn't matter which you go on processed food, it's gonna have sugar. Now they mentioned glucose free. No, they're gonna put fructose. They have corn syrup. They have all these other things that doesn't say glucose or sugar, but it is sugar indirectly. So anything processed food, I think get out. But once again, there's no negating factor. If you take this, it's gonna. So I'm gonna take 5 of those and 5 shots of those. Voila! Doesn't work there. Not a scale. So the damage that is caused from high sugar anything, it's it's cumulative. Obviously, you're not gonna see somebody having a heart attack in the age of 12, 14. All those becoming more prevalent. What do you think obesity in this country rates now? About how many people, percentage?
80%.
Huh?
80%?
80. Wow. You're cynical more than I am. What else? Who else thinks that? Percentage. Give me a percentage of obesity in this country.
75.
Well, about, so it's, go ahead. You guys know. 70 is getting there. Yeah, so it's about 60% overweight, 35% obese, morbid obese. 35 to 40% now, and that trend is going up. And the reason being is not because of we're not health conscious person, because of what is presented to us as food. We're talking about processed food. It's becoming cheaper, it's more available. So if you look at it at poor areas that are poor, they suffer the most of any disease process compared to a little bit more wealthier area and having availability. Okay. Anything else?
How do they gather that data for those type of demographics as far as like when they say 2/3 of the population is obese, do they go off like the old school BMI measurements or like how?
Okay, so CDC does, there's from Johns Hopkins to CDC to different society of the associations that deal with all this data gathering. So basically they go from county to county. It's an average. Obviously, they're not going to measure every single person. They just do an overall average, and then they just extrapolate the data. But it is, as I say, you could see it. It's funny because I was looking back 1960s. The person who came out with that specific recommendation diet to decrease your fat to 13% of what was recommended at 60%. After that, a lot of countries adopted our ways. Those countries who adopted our diet, guess what? They're equally fat, like we are. So those countries who didn't, and that remain healthy. So we just have to change how we think and how things are in order to for us to be healthy. But yeah, there's just tons of data available.
So can you take too much of that or like?
So yes, anything that you take too much is dangerous. Can drinking too much water be dangerous?
Yeah.
Oh yes, why? Yeah, so it affects your sodium, right? You can have seizure and you can have coma, you'll die from drinking too much water. So anything too much. Now this one, if you take 4 or 5 ounces, that's fine, but if you drink the gallon, I'm pretty sure it's gonna affect it because too much, remember, if the pH changes too much, then we're gonna have problem in either direction because it is a strong. So usually recommend 3 if you're not feeling well, maybe 4, but nothing beyond that on a daily basis. Now we did cancer research patients with cancer with this. We go up to 6 with those patients, but I wouldn't recommend for regular, for just day-to-day use. One of the things for indigestion is the most amazing thing you can take. Those of you who like spicy food, this is your answer. If you get the burning sensation, within 10 seconds, it's gone. All right.
So do you take that supplement as like a shot, or do you add it to
No, a
water?
shot, straight. Do not dilute it, a straight shot.
Now eating or drinking 30 minutes
Yes, I mean, usually with everything else with this, in order to get maximum effect, that, I say don't eat or drink anything before and after for 30 minutes. So that's what I said. Before you sleep, take it. Wake up in the morning, take it. And then after lunch, maybe an hour after lunch is perfect those times. All right. On the side, you said we did a lot of research, also development on we're thinking about what is a pure way to give athletes a boost. And so we work really hard to see how we can create something that benefit the athletes. And one of the all four products there that you see is a 4 molecule of oxygen infused together. So normally we have 2 molecule of oxygen, but now we got 4 molecule of oxygen infused with a specific ingredient to help you during the process, whether it's pre-workout, is designed before pre-workout, and then post-workout for recovery. Now that product does the same thing, to increase your delivery of oxygen, which is important, one of the limiting factor in exercise. It allows you to have sustained exercise for a long period of time. And that because of the delivery of oxygen, not through inhalation, but through absorption through your guts lining. And then you have a multivitamin pack, which is the O4 Nutrition. So one of the, we have seen a lot of product in the market that has, number one, they're not pure, they have a lot of impurity. Number two, there's pills and after pills and after pills. You got to get 20 pills to get every vitamin and mineral that you need, including your probiotic. And you guys talk about probiotic and how important it is for gut. So how we transform all that to make it easy and all in one. So we created that product to have your probiotic, you're gonna have digestive enzyme, you have superfood, which is your all antioxidant that you need, and also vitamin A through Z. Pretty much has every vitamin according to recommendation. So all that mixed in one scoop of powder, and you can mix it with anything and drink it daily for those, for those of us who need supplements. I think that's it. If you guys have any question on those, I could answer. Otherwise,
Can I hand it over to Lindsay?
oh, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys.
I'm in front of
The
the,
last speaker that we have today.
sorry, the director.
Yeah, okay. That's our final speaker for today's health seminar. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you still have any questions for any of the speakers today, feel free to stay and ask any questions that you want to. We are sampling some products. We have poured out some of the Balance 7. If you'd like to try it and test your pH, see how nasty it tastes, or maybe it tastes good and your pH is good. Who knows? Valerie's gonna go ahead and give you guys some information.
So, thank you. So I keep forgetting to take my sunglasses off. I definitely want to thank the doctor. Actually took time out of his day. As you can see, he's dressed in, his scrubs and stuff. So to get here, and then thank you, Lindsay, for hosting this. This was a collaborative effort, so I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Noble Productions, of course, for live streaming it. And for me, I probably met Dr. Noristani. I was introduced to Balance 7 about a year ago. And I'll just do this real quick, but I ended up losing, and this isn't a good thing, but I lost 40 pounds from November, and within 30 days, and that's because I ended up getting COVID, and I have an autoimmune disease. So then I literally went in the hospital for 30 days. I had to go to rehab for 30 days to learn to walk again and all that good stuff. But here's the thing. I do not take vitamins. I've never been a big fan of pills. So I was, however, taking Balance 7. That was the only thing I was really taking. What I found quickly was that it gave me a lot more energy and clarity, because I run multiple businesses. So that was amazing. What I didn't realize is that was the only thing probably defending my immune system at the time. So I don't know for sure, but part of me is thankful that I think part of Balance 7 saved my life. And like I said, I don't know that for sure, but that's the only thing that I was taking at the time, nor did I get the vaccine. So I almost died. My mom was there to witness it. And it was just life-changing. So whatever this doctor puts out or endorses is, I'm a fan of. Obviously, I'm taking O4. I'm gaining my strength back and my weight back and all that, but it's still a work in progress. My lungs will be compromised the rest of my life. But, health is so important. I mean, it's so important, and I just wish anybody that's watching and viewing this today understands that if you don't have that, you have nothing, really. So, thank you all. And, snacks for today. So the Balance 7 packages, you get a bottle of My Smooth Skin with it, only $20, and then the all the O4 products today only are 20% off. And Lindsay is here to take transactions, so if anybody is interested in purchasing this price for today only, we have product here for you all. So thank you again.
Thank you.